Hello. So in this video we're going to talk about Ola Rotimi's play Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again. Now, I had been wanting to read several plays by Rotimi for a good long while, and I'd been having trouble getting a hold of them. And this is the first play of his that I've read, but he's a pretty big deal dramatist in Nigeria. And this play is a really fun satire of politics and gender roles. So the basic premise is that Rahman Taslim Lejoka Brown, also called the Major, is running for political office at the head of the National Liberation Party. And he has 3 wives. His first wife is called Mama Rashida, and she had been his older brother's wife, and when his older brother died, according to Islamic law, he was required to take care of her, and so his father, Lejoka Brown's father, married him to Mama Rashida without his knowledge while he was away. So we've got that element. The next wife that he married is named Lisa or Liza. She is not Muslim. She's Catholic. She's Kenyan, but they met in the Congo when Lejoka Brown was fighting the Belgians, and he was wounded, and Liza was a nurse who nursed him back to health. And then there's Sakira, who he explains to Lejoka Brown explains to his friend Okonkwo, that woman's case is only for necessity anyway, temporary measure. We need women's votes, man, if we must win the next elections. Okonkwo says, and what would one extra woman do to win you those votes? Hi, Frank. He's my kitty. And Lejoka Brown says, she's the daughter of the president of the Nigerian Union of Market Women. Okonkwo just says, oh. And Lejoka Brown explains triumphantly, see what I mean? Everything would have worked out according to plan once the elections were over. See? I give Sakira a lump sum, capital to go and trade and look for another man or something like that. Mama Rashida remains right here in this house of my father's, and I move into minister's quarters on Victoria Island. Liza joins me there. Everybody is happy. But now look at it. So what's gone wrong? Basically, Lejoka Brown... Frank, you're really, I think, going to be distracting people from Ola Rotimi's play. In fairness, I'm petting you, so that's probably not helping. Anyway, so what's gone wrong is that Lejoka Brown had this plan where basically he was going to stay in Nigeria with Mama Rashida and Sakira, and he was not going to have Liza join him because she's been in America getting her doctorate, becoming a medical doctor specifically. He was going to have her join him after the election so that he could avoid ever telling her that he had 2 other wives. Because again, she's Catholic, and in Islam, men are allowed up to 4 wives. In Catholicism, no, one wife. 1 wife is the limit. But Liza has ignored that instruction, and she has gotten on a plane to come to Lagos, which has pretty much disrupted the I'm never going to let her find out about the other wives plan. So this is the sort of initial challenge that that Lejoka Brown faces, is this disruption to his plans for a happy married life, built on a foundation of lies and deceit. So Liza shows up. Initially, she thinks that Mama Rashida is like a washerwoman or something like that, and Sakura is a kitchen maid. And when she finds out that they are his other wives, she is not super pleased. And basically, she stays in the house. Liza stays in the house on the premise that she be treated as a guest until she can decide what she actually wants to do about this situation. But part of her being a guest in the house ends up involving bringing some modern ideas. I say modern ideas, and that's quite insulting, but some Western ideas is maybe a better way of putting it. This comes out in 1966, so I suppose modern ideas is actually a fairly accurate way of putting it, because even in the US in 66, these would have been pretty forward-thinking ideas. So they're definitely not the norm for Nigeria, but it's also, I guess, worth noting, because this play also premiered at Yale in Connecticut. It's also worth noting that these were pretty forward-thinking ideas for the US in 66. I think it was 66. So, yeah, 66. So, for instance, Frank, you're gonna scratch your face. So, Mama Rashida is a chicken trader in the markets. Like, she goes to the countryside, buys chickens, and sells them in the markets. But because of the way that the women's market union has functioned, she is now in competition with a lot more chicken sellers, because it's become, I guess, easier to become a chicken seller. And so Liza basically gives her economic theory. She talks to her about supply and demand and owning the source of production. So, like, going out to the countryside, getting her own land and her own, like, chicken coops and things like that to produce eggs and chickens without the outlay of capital involved in buying them every week and transporting them. So we've got that stuff. Stop. Sorry, Frank's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. So we've got that element. Liza starts sewing these, very like 60s. I'm envisioning very 60s style, like sleeveless dresses, mini skirts, and things like that for Sakura, who at one point Lejoka Brown comes in and he sees Sakura in one of these short dresses, and basically he's like, "No, this is totally unacceptable. You will do what I say." At which point Sakura's like, "Nope, I'm going home to my mother." So basically, his domestic life is sort of collapsing, in the sense that his various wives are now starting to be like, I'm a legit human being, and I'm allowed to have my own opinion and my own job and my own lifestyle, etc., etc. Parallel to this, Lejoka Brown is losing control of his political party, the National Liberation Party. So this is a party that he had founded, that he is the leader of, and that he expects to be swept into higher office at the head of. But the party has this meeting, where he explains his political strategy, which he calls surprise and attack, which is based on military tactics that he had employed in the army. And basically, his plan is that they're not going to campaign at all in the cities for a while. They're going to campaign in small towns and rural areas, and then about a month before the election, they will sweep into the cities, surprising their opponents, making tons of speeches and distributing pamphlets and what all, and that their opponents will be so shocked by this sudden turn of events, they won't be able to mount a counter-offensive or whatever it is. And the people in his party are basically like, that doesn't make any sense. That's a terrible political strategy. Like, we have no confidence at all that this strategy makes any sense, that it would get any voters successfully. And so the two sort of top lieutenants of this party, the next two people down in line, basically lead a walkout. And then shortly after that, a little ways after that, Lejoka Brown has a press conference with a BBC reporter and some local Nigerian reporters and things like this, to try and sort of quell the rumors that there's dissent in the party. And what ends up happening is that Liza returns. Liza had gone out to the beach, apparently, and she returns in a bikini. And Lejoka Brown is not on board. Again, he's a Muslim, and he's a fairly conservative Muslim in terms of requiring his wives to dress modestly. We've already seen this earlier in the play, where he threatens to rip the dress off Sakura if she doesn't put on something more, the dress that Liza made, if she doesn't put on something more modest. And so Lejoka Brown's solution to the problem of all of these people in his home are potentially going to see one of his wives in a bikini is he threatens them with a gun and makes them lie on the ground. Which does not do wonders for party morale or for the image of the party in the media. So we've got that bit. Lejoka Brown, shortly after that, gets voted out of office, out of his position in party leadership, partially at the behest of Sakura's mother, who is again the head of the Market Women's Union. And there's an interesting thread at the end of it, because one of the principles that Liza has brought and sort of given to Sakura is that men and women are equal. And so at one point, when Sakura is wearing the dress that Liza had made for her, she says, "Suppose we form a party." And Liza says, "Form a party?" Sakura says, "Yes, for politics. All women in Nigeria." And then Liza, amused, says, "All women?" Sakura says, "All right, married women. Then we become prime ministers and campaign for election." And then she takes one of the posters off the wall, the National Liberation Party's posters off the wall, and starts singing a version of their song. Where for parts of it she sings are freedom for housewives, freedom for all women, yes, everywhere there must be freedom, freedom for mothers, freedom for housemaids, yes, in every home there must be freedom. And this is a version of the NLP song that they sing throughout the play itself. There's a bit of a Lysistrata element here, or there's another play by Aristophanes where women sort of take over the assembly, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. It's often translated as the assembly women, or the women's assembly. Ecclesia Zeus. There you go. All right. So we've got a little bit of that feel here, where like we're getting a sort of women's political liberation, but it gets sort of quashed when Lejoka Brown returns and the whole incident with the dress occurs. But at the end of the play, Lejoka Brown and Liza kind of make up, but it's a weird, like, semi-reconciliation. But we learn who it is that replaced Lejoka Brown as the candidate for the National Liberation Party. And it's Sakura. Because, I mean, her mother, we knew that her mother had demanded, in exchange for the support of the Market Women's Union, that the NLP put forward a female candidate. And Sakura is the candidate that they end up choosing, as we find out in the last moments of the play. And she's campaigning on the platform of men and women are created equal. So there you go. I mean, I want to leave it there, but it's not necessarily there you go, because actually the last line of the play is Lejoka Brown's, where he says, the world has come to an end. So I don't know where Rotimi comes down on this. Like, I don't really like the idea that he's sort of in that space of women shouldn't campaign for politics, and that sort of Aristophanes vein of like, oh, it's hilarious that women think they could have a political voice. Like, I don't want to think that of Rotimi, because that doesn't align with my personal political views, but that's kind of what I'm getting from the play. And I mean, I think it depends on how we're supposed to take that final line. Like, are we supposed to endorse Lejoka Brown's perspective? I'm not sure that we are, but I'm also not sure that we're not. I'm not sure that we're supposed to endorse Sakura's perspective. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough play for me in terms of where it comes down, but it's a very funny play, and it's a politically smart satire. I need to know more about Rotimi, though, to figure out where the gender politics of this play wrap up.